Ah, hello, uncle. Yes. Already on the way, of course. Yes, I'm on the way. Yeah. Sudamakan, of course. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Well, I don't know yet. Still MCO. I don't know what's next. We got CMCO, RMCO, ABCDO. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's. Oh, of course. Can la boss. Of course. Okay, yeah. See you then. Yeah. See you. Okay. Thank you. Bye. Yeah. Bye. Oh, hey guys. Oh, it's good that you're here because I wanted to tell you a little bit about the unusual habits that Malaysians have. Let's go outside and I'll tell you all about it. So, today I'd like to talk to you about the unusual habits that Malaysians have. Now, every country and every culture, they have their own unusual habits, of course. And I'm from the Netherlands, and of course, the Dutch, we have very unusual habits as well. You could see my previous video where I asked my wife about Dutch habits. So check that video out as well. Now in this video, I'd like to talk about the Malaysian habits that to me are slightly unusual. Here we go. So a lot of these unusual habits have to do something with language. So we'll start off with number one, which is that Malaysians tend to repeat their words. For example, if people want to thank you, they will not say thank you, or they could say that, but it's quite common for them to say thank you. Or if something is possible, you would say can, or can lah. Another unusual Malaysian language habit is that there are a lot of abbreviations in Malaysia. People use abbreviations for everything. There is, of course, we're in the MCO now, which is the lockdown, the movement control order, that is CMCO, RMCO, EMCO, PKP, and most of the government agencies also have abbreviations. You got the JPJ, the MKN, the JPN, and there's so many abbreviations that sometimes it confuses me a little. Another unusual habit, I would say, is that all of a sudden everyone becomes boss if you need something from them. Like you're on the phone or you want to buy something from a wholesaler or you're at the hardware shop and it's usually, okay, thank you boss, or can do boss, here you go boss, here's your drink boss, which to me sounds quite funny and it's definitely an unusual habit here in Malaysia. And then there's another language habit here in Malaysia, which is everyone calls everyone uncle or auntie. And when I first came here, this was very unusual to me because I only call my actual aunties and uncles by those names. But here it's a term of respect. So anyone that is older than you, you would address them as auntie or uncle. So to me that was a bit unusual. But now I actually use that all the time. So everyone I meet is like, hey uncle, hey auntie, how are you? And I think it's nice. I think it's a nice but unusual habit. As a foreigner, perhaps the most unusual habit in the Malaysian language is the usage of the word lah. Malaysians have created this word or exclamation to give an extra emotion to a sentence. I always describe the usage of lah as an exclamation used to amplify the emotion of a sentence. For example, if you're angry, you got the wrong food, you would say, hey, come on, what is this lah? You know, like you're a bit upset, but again, you could also use it if you're very happy. For example, your friend brings over durian, you would say something like, wow, that is so delicious lah. And yeah, this lah can be used for anything basically. So I think the usage of lah is perhaps the most unusual Malaysian habit in their language that I have encountered. But then again, after 10 years, I use lah a lot. Lah. Let's move on from the weird or unusual Malaysian language habits to something that I found extremely unusual when I first arrived here in Malaysia. In the Netherlands, every toilet will have a toilet roll for you to finish your business. But here in Malaysia, almost every toilet, or perhaps every toilet, has a spray called a Bumgun, or at least that is the term that maybe English people use, or people that speak English use. So it's a spray for which you can clean your business after you've done number 2. And like I said, I've been here for 10 years and I'm pretty happy that that spray is in almost every toilet, because I can go to the toilet everywhere now. Good stuff. And of course, what would a Malaysian be without food? Another unusual habit, at least to me initially, was that Malaysians constantly talk about food. They take photos of food, or they dream about food. For example, my wife wakes up in the morning and the first thing she says to me is, "Nick, what to have for breakfast?" And then she follows with, "Good morning." So Malaysians love to talk about food, and yeah, I personally think that is a bit of an unusual habit. Now, as a follow-up on food and Malaysians, another perhaps unusual habit, or maybe not that unusual, is that whenever you meet someone, a Malaysian would ask you, "Sudamakan?" like, "Have you eaten yet?" Which, it's a little unusual to me, because I would possibly say, "How are you?" or "How are things going?" But the standard question, or the standard first question for a Malaysian when you meet them, is "Sudamakan?" And I think it's actually a nice habit, because it shows that this person cares about you and to make sure that you have your belly full. We stick to the topic of food a little bit longer. Chilies. A very, very unusual habit to me is Malaysians and their chilies. Malaysians love chilies. They are crazy about chilies. My wife sometimes even brings her own chilies in her purse to a restaurant. And yeah, Malaysians, or most Malaysians, cannot have a meal, their rice or their noodles, without chilies. And they come in just chopped raw chilies or the pickled ones. And I must say, after all these years of living here, I do enjoy a nice mee kolok, or kolomi, with pickled chilies. Time. I've got another one for you, which is time is very fluid here in Malaysia. If a wedding starts at 7, people usually show up after 8. And if you're meeting your friend at 2, expect them to arrive by 2:30 or later, because they're always on the way. Even when they're sitting at home, or before they're having their shower to come over to you, they'll say, yeah, on the way. Yes, which is very different than the Dutch, because we tend to be quite punctual as a people. But like I said earlier, I've lived here for 10 years and I catch myself coming late once or twice as well. Are you ready for one more? Whether Malaysians like it or not, it is a very unusual habit to double park. I've noticed that Malaysians don't like to walk too far to a coffee shop or to pick up their tapau food, so it is very common in all of Malaysia to double park. Even if there is an empty parking space available maybe 50 meters away, it is not unusual that a Malaysian would double park and, yes, pick up their food or do whatever they have to do. And again here, I must say, I've double parked as well. More often than I'm proud of. After all these years of living here, I must admit that I have become a little bit Malaysian myself lah. And actually, I don't mind it at all. I love living here, and all these silly habits or unusual habits are not silly to me. They're normal. Like I said, every culture has their own habits, and the ones here in Malaysia are pretty cool actually. You know, you call people uncle and auntie as a form of respect, and even though all the abbreviations can be a bit confusing sometimes, who cares? So, if you like this video, please leave a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe to my channel if you're not subscribed yet. I make these kinds of videos every week. I talk about my life here in Malaysia, I talk about Malaysians, I talk about the Dutch and how it's all related in my world. And thanks for watching. For now, I'll say bye-bye and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.